All right, let's dive into Megalodon today. That giant shark that still has everyone kind of fascinated. We see it everywhere.
Right.
In the movies, documentaries, even those top 10 facts lists.
Okay.
But how much of what we see is just hype? And how much is real science? That's what we're going to find out. We've got a stack of research here, academic papers, encyclopedia entries, even those fun fact lists we talked about.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we got an expert to help us sort through it all. So, yeah, the first thing to get straight is Megalodon's timeline. A lot of pop culture puts Megalodon and dinosaurs together.
Right.
But they weren't around at the same time. Megalodon showed up much later in the early Miocene epoch, about 23 million years ago, long after the dinosaurs were gone. So no T-Rex versus Megalodon. Bummer. But it is interesting how pop culture gets things wrong. One thing I've always wondered about is how Megalodon is classified. I mean, was it just a giant great white? Or a totally different species?
Yeah, that's a question scientists have been trying to figure out for a long time. People thought it was an ancestor of the great white. But newer research, especially looking at the teeth, suggests that's not the case. Megalodon teeth are way bigger and thicker than a great white's, and the serrations on the teeth are finer. So it was a totally different evolutionary path.
So if it wasn't a giant great white, then what was it? What family did it belong to?
Well, the current thinking is that Megalodon belonged to a separate line called Odontodidae, the megatooth sharks. And there's actually been a name change to reflect this new classification. There was a study in 2016 that said that the genus Carcharicles, which is where Megalodon used to be classified, might not even be valid.
So what do we call it now?
Now it's called Ododos megalodon. It's a mouthful, I know. But science has to be accurate.
Absolutely. Got to get it right. It really shows how science changes as we find new evidence. Okay, so we busted the dinosaur myth, and we've got its family tree figured out. But the big question, the one everyone wants to know is, just how giant was Megalodon?
Oh, yeah, that's the question everyone asks, and it's actually really hard to answer for sure. The problem is that shark skeletons are mostly cartilage. And cartilage doesn't fossilize very well, so we mostly just have teeth and vertebrae to work with.
So it's like a giant puzzle with only a few pieces.
Exactly.
So how can scientists even try to figure out how big Megalodon was?
Well, scientists have come up with a few ways to do it. They compare the teeth and vertebrae we have to the ones from modern great whites. They also look at bite marks that they find on fossilized whale bones. And they even use math models to try and predict the size based on the few remains we have.
So did the scientists figure out the size? Was it as big as everyone thinks?
Oh, yeah, definitely. A study in 2021 suggests that the maximum length could have been up to 20.3 meters. That's 67 feet longer than a city bus.
That's one series shark. But I'm guessing they weren't all that big, right?
You're right. The average length is estimated to be somewhere between 10.2 and 10.5 meters, which is still bigger than the biggest great white. But the weight estimates are even crazier, somewhere between 30 and over 65 tons. Think of several elephants put together.
Whoa, that's insane. Didn't I also read that their size might have been different, depending on where they lived?
Yeah, you're right. A study in 2022 suggested that megalodons that lived in colder water might have grown even bigger. It's not clear why, though.
Wow, a giant shark that gets bigger in cool water. Definitely adds to the mystery. But I think it's time we talk about the scariest part of Megalodon, those teeth.
Yeah, they are pretty impressive. Megalodon teeth are triangular, and they've got those serrated edges.
Yeah.
And they're massive, way bigger and thicker than a great white's teeth. Some of them are over 7 inches long.
7 inches? That's bigger than my hand. I can't imagine how powerful a bite from that would be. How many teeth did they even have?
Get this, 276 teeth, arranged in 5 rows.
That's a serious set of chompers. So how strong was the bite force?
Oh, it was incredibly strong. A study back in 2008 estimated that Megalodon's bite force was between 108,514 and 182,201 newtons. That's way more powerful than a human bite or even a great white bite.
So they could crush bone easily. And didn't sharks also shake their heads side to side while they were biting?
Yeah.
That would make the bite even stronger.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That shaking motion makes the force even greater. It would have been devastating for their prey. But here's something interesting. A 2021 study suggested that Megalodon teeth might not have been just for crushing bones.
Wait, really? I always thought those teeth were for taking down large prey and crushing through bone.
Well, this study said that. Those huge teeth might have actually evolved, mainly because of their increasing body size. So as Megalodon got bigger, their teeth also got bigger. It's not clear which came first, the big body or the big teeth.
So size matters even for shark teeth. But I'm sure they use those teeth to eat.
Oh, yeah, they ate a lot. We have fossil evidence that shows what they ate. whale bones with megalodon bite marks. Some of them even have broken teeth tips in them.
So they were eating the biggest animals in the ocean.
Exactly. They ate dolphins, whales of all sizes, seals, sirenians, and even sea turtles. Basically anything they could catch.
It sounds like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Are there any specific examples of prey that are really interesting?
There is one really cool find. It's a fossilized sperm whale tooth, and it has megalodon bite marks on it.
So they were eating whales
Yeah.
and also maybe fighting with other apex predators,
Yeah.
like sperm whales.
It really gives you a picture of the ocean back then, a very competitive place, with megalodon at the top of the food chain. But even with all we know about megalodon, their size, those teeth, what they ate, there's still a lot we don't know about their lives.
Like what?
Well, for example, did you know we've found megalodon nurseries?
Nurseries. Like where the baby megalodons hung out? That's kind of cute. In a terrifying giant shark kind of way. Tell me more.
Yeah, so researchers found this area off the coast of Panama, and it had tons of juvenile megalodon teeth. And that suggests that, like some sharks today, megalodon moms might have gone to these, protected shallow waters to have their babies.
Well, that makes sense. Those shallow waters would have been safer for the baby megalodons, away from bigger predators. And there would have been plenty of smaller prey there for them to eat.
Exactly. It was a safe place for them to grow up. And speaking of growing, we think that even newborn megalodons were already pretty big, at least 6.6 feet long.
Wow. That's bigger than most people. But I guess even a baby megalodon wasn't totally safe, right?
Yeah, you're right. Even at that size, they could still be eaten by other big creatures. It just shows that life in the ocean back then was tough, even for a megalodon.
It's amazing how much we know about megalodon. Their size, their teeth, what they ate, even their nurseries. But the biggest mystery is, why did they go extinct?
Yeah, about 3.6 million years ago, megalodon just disappeared from the fossil record, and scientists have been trying to figure out why.
I read somewhere that climate change might have been the reason. Did a change in global temperatures kill them off?
Climate change definitely had an impact on the oceans. During the Pliocene epoch, which is when megalodon went extinct, there was a global cooling trend. This changed ocean temperatures, sea levels, and even how marine life was distributed.
So those nursery areas,
Yeah.
the warm, shallow waters, they would have been affected too, right?
Yeah, that's what people thought for a while, that the loss of those warm water nurseries might have made it hard for megalodon to survive.
So if it wasn't just the cold, what else could have caused their extinction?
Well, it turns out that megalodon wasn't only found in warm water. We found fossils in colder regions too, so temperature might not have been the only reason.
That makes sense. So what else were scientists looking at?
One big change during the Pliocene was the shift in the ocean's ecosystems and food webs, for example. There were fewer baleen whales, which were a major food source for megalodon.
So their main food source was disappearing. That must have been a big problem for them.
Exactly. Imagine if your favorite restaurant closed down. You'd have to find somewhere else to eat.
And on top of that, weren't there other predators competing with them?
Yeah, there's evidence that smaller, more agile sharks, like the great white, were becoming more common during that time.
So it sounds like it wasn't one single thing that killed off megalodon, but a combination of factors. Environmental changes, less food, more competition.
Exactly. It's a complicated story, and scientists are still trying to figure it all out. But that's what's so cool about paleontology. It's like solving a mystery from millions of years ago.
It's amazing to think what our oceans would be like today if megalodon was still around.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really is amazing. We've talked about all this stuff with megalodon. Their size, that crazy bite force, what they ate, even where their nurseries were.
Yeah.
But their extinction is still a mystery. I guess it just goes to show that even the most powerful creatures can still be vulnerable.
It really makes you think. I mean, megalodon ruled the oceans for millions of years, and they still couldn't survive when things changed. It makes you wonder about our own relationship with the ocean and what we can do to protect it.
Yeah, those are important questions to think about. It's not just about learning cool facts about the past. It's also about understanding how we can help protect the ocean for the future.
Exactly. And it all starts with learning more. The more we know about ancient creatures, how they lived, why they disappeared, the better we can protect the ocean today.
So by studying the past, we can actually help the future.
Absolutely. And even those top 10 facts lists that we talk about, they're a good way to get people interested in science and to learn more about the world around us.
Yeah, I love those little facts. They're so interesting. Like, did you know that a single megalodon tooth could weigh over a pound.
That's incredible. It's those little details
Yeah.
that help bring these creatures to life.
Yeah, it's like you're holding a piece of history when you see one of those teeth. And it makes you realize that these weren't just movie monsters, they were real animals.
And that's why we need to keep studying them, to learn more about them, and to share that knowledge with everyone.
Well, I think we've learned a lot about Megalodon today, and about the importance of scientific exploration.
I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive, and that you're inspired to learn more about the amazing history of our planet.
Thanks for joining us, and keep exploring the world around you.